So now let's talk about reference planes. Now there are three default planes available in SolidWorks, and these three are front plane, top plane, and right plane. Apart from that, you can also use the planes of any feature or part to start a new drawing. But if you want your own reference plane, then you can create it using this reference plane feature. So on the features tab, we have the plane option right here. So select this plane option. And now we'll learn about creating a few reference planes. Okay, so the first one is a simple offset plane. So here I'll select just any plane from this part, and here we are. It will automatically create a plane which is at a certain distance from this selected plane. Now, in this case, it just created this one at a distance of 10 mm. If, however, you want to change that distance, you can either click here or add a number here. Also, if you want to change its direction, then click this flip offset and it's going to just make this plane below this selected plane. So that's how you can create reference plane, and then using this plane you can create another sketch geometry. Now I'll just uncheck this flip offset, and also here you can now add more planes. So all of these planes are now added at an offset distance of 20 mm. So every single plane has a gap of 20 mm. And once you're satisfied, just click OK, and we now have three reference planes which you can use. Now these planes are also added to the feature tree here. So you can see that we now have plane 1, 2, and 3. And just in case you don't want a plane, you can select it and delete it from this list. For example, here I've got plane 2 and 3 selected. I'll delete them both and I'll only leave plane 1. Also, if you want to change the size of this plane, you can do so using these grips. So you can just grab these grips and just move it around, and that's going to let you change the size of plane. However, changing size of plane is doing nothing in this case because the planes are infinite in nature, though it may look like it's kind of expanding only up to this much of the boundary, but that's not the case. You can select a plane, go to sketch, and now you can draw even here, which is basically outside this plane. So it will still make everything right on this selected plane, just like this. So even though the boundary ends here, you can make anywhere you want on this plane after selecting it. So I'm going to just select plane 1 and the sketch, and I'll right click and delete it. Now let's see the second one. So go to features, reference geometry, plane. Now in this case, we'll make plane using two planes as reference. So I'm going to select this one as the first plane, and then I'll select this plane as well. Now automatically SolidWorks will just figure out what kind of plane we want, and in this case it will add a mid plane which is exactly in between these two planes. Also in this case both of these planes were parallel, so it will just add this plane right in between these two. Now click OK to accept this, and here we are, we've got the plane. If, however, you select intersecting planes, then you'll get this. So go to plane, and I'll select this one as the first plane and this one as the second plane. Now we have this plane exactly at the angle bisector. So if you just increase this size here, I mean if you just make it bigger, and this plane also, then at some point they are going to intersect, and then if you divide it into equal angles, then this is the plane which you are going to get, where both of these angles on the left and right side of the plane will be equal with respect to selected planes. So I'll click OK, and now let's see the third type of plane. Now here we'll make plane using a reference plane and a point. So let's go to reference geometry, and now I'm going to select this plane here, and for point I'll select this one right here. So we now have a plane which is parallel to this selected reference plane, and also this plane will pass exactly through this point. So from this perspective you can see that as well. So look at this, this plane will pass exactly through this point, and it's also parallel to this selected plane. So that's how you can make a plane with two different references, like a plane and a point. Now you can also make plane which are tangent to these kind of circular surfaces. So I'll go to reference geometry and I'll select plane, and I'm going to select this surface right here. Now this fillet. So here we have got a plane which is exactly along this plane. So it's not that useful because we can obviously select this plane and make our sketches, but if you already have a reference point along these kind of circular surfaces, then you can select that point. For example, in this case, I've already created a point, so I'll select this, and now we have a plane which is exactly tangent to our selected surface here, and it's also exactly here at the selected point. So it's the point of tangency for this plane. Now, after finishing this, you can make your sketch right on this plane. Similarly, you can make plane on these kind of surfaces as well. So here also we have the surface, so select this, and here we are, we've got the plane which is tangent to this, and you can also select a point now, and now it is tangent to this cylindrical shape, and also it's tangent exactly at this point. There we are, we've got a plane which is tangent. Now let's delete all of these planes that we created. So I'll shift select all of these, and I'm going to delete all of these planes. Now the next type of plane which we are going to discuss is a 3-point plane. So I'll go to reference geometry, plane, and now I'm going to just select 3 points from this drawing. So I'll select this vertex, then maybe this one, and we'll select this last vertex. And here we are, we've got a plane which will pass through all the selected vertices, and this is the plane. Now let's just get rid of this one. And let's see the next one. Now in this case, I will select a plane and an edge. So here, let's just select this plane, and also for edge, I'm just going to select this one. So now we have a plane here which is with reference to a selected plane and edge. Now in this case, it is actually along this kind of plane, but you can change its angle. So let's just do that. So I'll go to this angle option here, and now I'll add an angle, and here we are. So now you can change the angle of this plane. So here, right along this edge, it is changing angle with respect to our selected plane. You can also flip this direction, and here we are. Now its direction is flipped, but still it's measuring the angle with respect to our selected plane. So in this way also you can just make your planes, and you can also add additional planes if you want. So I'm just going to decrease this number here slightly, and maybe let's now add 3 planes, or maybe even 4. So that's how you can make several planes which are offset with this gap of 85 degrees. So I'll click OK, and here we are, we've got all these planes. Now finally, let's use a sketch to make a plane. So I'm just going to delete all of these planes, and here I'll go to sketch, and maybe I'll just start from this plane here, and I'm just going to add a simple spline like this. All right, let's exit this sketch. We have this spline. Now using this spline as a reference, you can also make a plane. So I'll go to feature, to reference geometry, plane, and I'll select this sketch. All right, so currently it is making a plane which is exactly the same plane which was used for creating this spline. Now we'll select a second reference, and for that I'm going to select this endpoint, and here we are, we've got a plane which is exactly perpendicular to this spline at this point. So you can also choose another point. For example, I'll go to the second reference, and I'm going to select this point now, and here we are, now it is perpendicular to that point, and maybe here. So again, I'll go to second reference and this point, and there we are. So in this way you can create planes which are perpendicular to selected sketch. And that was all about creating planes in SolidWorks.